So this evening, we have the absolute privilege of hosting this incredible conversation about the intersection of art and activism. We have with us Bryan Fogel, who is an Academy Award-winning director, as well as a producer, author, and human rights activist. We also have renowned contemporary artist and activist Shepard Fairey, whose work includes the iconic Obama Hope poster, the Obey campaign, as well as the images of Joaquín that you can see on your programs and elsewhere in the theater. And then finally, coming back to the stage, we have the Guac father himself, Manuel Oliver. So without further ado, would you please help me welcome Bryan, Manuel, and Manny to the stage, and Shepard.
I'm Bryan. I was asked to moderate tonight, and I hadn't seen Manny's show until this evening. And I got called, actually, from a friend saying that I thought that I would respond to this, and I didn't know how much I was going to respond to this. And somehow, for those of you that don't know me, I made a film called Icarus a few years ago that got Russia banned from the Olympics. And then I made a film called The Dissident about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. And it was a very similar experience because I decided to make that film because I was so personally in pain over his grieving widow or fiancée that was waiting for him as he went into the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, waiting for papers so that he can marry her. And right now I'm working on a film, a father 2 years ago sent me an email that his 21-year-old son had died 6 months earlier of fentanyl. And he was a University of Chicago student and was trying to get some cocaine to study for the exam. And they found him the next morning dead in his college apartment. No cocaine in his system at all. He had been sold fentanyl, and it killed him. And that's killing 100,000 Americans a year. And so here I am this evening speaking to you, another father that has experienced just tremendous loss. And yet what's very moving to me this evening is just seeing how you've taken this loss and turning it into action. And I really identify with that as an artist. And Shepard here has made a career out of turning activism into art and incredible campaigns. So just wanted to start by kind of asking, I guess, both of you, where do you find kind of the, I guess, courage and the passion to kind of keep doing what you're doing night after night, day after day?
Well, thank you. Thank you both for being here, actually. This is great. Thank you, everyone, for being here and staying here. I think that I don't have any other option that will satisfy me. I'm Joaquín's dad, still. That hasn't changed. That was the most important role for me in life. And I decided to keep on and continue being Joaquín's father. Did I need to reinvent myself? Yeah. And at the same time, I can send a message and make things better for others. So that's the whole plan here. Patricia and me, we refuse to stop being Joaquín's parents. And we actually feel tonight, when we go to bed, we will feel that we did something not only for Joaquín, but with Joaquín. And now you all know Joaquín, and that's great. So again, I don't have any better option than this one, and I really enjoy being Joaquín's dad, so there's no reason for me to stop being that.
Manny is an artist, so I know that you're an artist, Bryan. You both understand how art is it's a tool of communication, but it has this beautiful dichotomy where you escape as you make something, you respond to something in the world, and then you get to just focus on how to make something beautiful, powerful. Everything, time disappears. Hours go by, you realize you're hungry or you have to go to the bathroom. But then when you're finished with it, you can engage with it. So these two phases are such an incredible thing to have access to. For me, growing up in the South where I witnessed racism and felt uncomfortable with that, and then I got into punk rock and realized that in punk rock there was a social critique, there were politics, there was rebellion. I said, because I'd been drawing since I was a little kid, I want to do something like that, but with visual art, not music, but with the same democratic spirit. And also, I'm a rebel. So Manny climbed up a crane across from the White House and did something really daring. I've done not something quite that intense, but I have been arrested 18 times for street art, and I just think that when you look at the world's injustices, often people who are already stressed in their lives, they don't want an additional stressor by saying, I have to take on someone else's problems too, unless you can draw them into that issue with something that really affects them emotionally. And I think that art can do that. What Manny's done tonight is a perfect example of how every one of your emotions can be impacted. And you can't walk away from a performance like that without feeling and without hopefully wanting to do something.
I'm wondering, a lot of times in the films that I've made, people have asked me, well, what are you going to be happy if laws don't change, if something doesn't come of this? And because you get so emotionally invested as a human, but as an artist in what you're doing. And I don't know if I'm right or not, but it struck me tonight watching you, Manny, that that this and what you're doing might be enough. And am I right in that, or for you, does there have to be, if the laws do not change, that your purpose will feeling that it hasn't been met?
Well, how we do this is that we look at what other people have done before. Let's talk about gun violence specifically, and how it hasn't worked. Okay, we rely a lot on the politicians, and if you look back, you will see that we had already red House, blue House, red Senate, red White House, and blue. We had any possible combination in power to make a difference and to actually put an end to this, because this is something we could fix. But so when I see that, I say, okay, we need to try something different, and that's what you just saw. This is a different approach, and that's what you see on the lobby: different approaches to the problem, different ways to connect with people. I want to end the answer with this. Where do I find hope to do this besides the immense love that I have for my son? And it's on the young Americans that don't like the gun violence situation in their country. And you don't see a rally of young Americans, 18, 19, 21 years old, demanding their rights to carry guns. That is not happening here. You see rallies of young people doing the opposite. So to me, the extension of those actions will at some point become the solution. I have to hold myself to that, okay? And again, until my last day here. If what happened to Joaquín makes me become that person, and then I can meet with other artists and do stuff like we did in DC, that huge mural of Joaquín, listening to punk music for 2 days in a row. That was really cool, by the way. I'm fine. I have to hold to that hope. So I really think things will change. Honestly, I think that.
And where do you fall on that, Shepard, with your art and your messaging?
Well, of course, I'm always hoping that there will be systemic change, and that sometimes involves laws, sometimes it just involves changing people's behavior. And changing people's behavior requires shifting culture. And there's someone smart said this quote, and I remember the quote, but not the name of the author, unfortunately, but it's, the arts elevated to a set of principles become culture. So anytime someone is trying to diminish the role of the arts, I know they don't want culture to change. The people who want to oppress are afraid of creative people. They're afraid of the arts. They're afraid of that shift in culture that can happen. That's why they try so hard to suppress artists, intellectuals, all the people that drive cultural change. So I know when I do what I do that it can make a difference. I've seen it happen.
Talk about that.
And sometimes it's not immediate. I was part of during the Iraq War and all of the Islamophobia and the xenophobia that came with that post 9/11. A group of friends and I, we did a campaign called Be the Revolution in 2004 to hopefully get someone other than Bush elected. It didn't work, but I saw a coalition building. And then 4 years later, in 2008, I made the Hope poster for Obama, and I saw the swell of support for Obama, the proliferation of the image, and after feeling very deflated in 2004, I realized that seeds planted in that period of time, post 9/11 to 2008, just took several years to grow. And so you never can underestimate how you're creating change, because it might not happen instantly, but it all makes a difference. It will make a difference. And there are pendulum swings, but I think that ultimately the effort will make a difference. And so there are a lot of different factors. I think right now we're in a very difficult time, but I think it's important not to lose hope, to remain vigilant and use your voice in every way you can, because silence and apathy keep the right things from happening. When I think when you look at the stats, and I know I know Patricia has, that the majority of the country wants gun reform. They want background checks. They want the gun show loopholes closed, and yet that hasn't happened legislatively, but we know it's there. So we just have to get all those people that we know care about those things to become voters and to scare those politicians into doing the right thing.
Let me, Manny, towards the end of a show, when you read Joaquín's letter when he was 13 years old, asking for gun control, essentially, how did that come about? Why was he empowered to write that letter? And it just was so moving and startling to me that your son at 13 years old is advocating for gun control and against gun violence, and becomes a victim of that. And so, tell us about how that letter came about, because I'm guessing that you and Patricia were a part of that, or was that just Joaquín's doing?
I think Joaquín made it happen that way. The reason why he wrote the letter, and this is what we thought after, and then I'm going to tell you how we found the letter, is because that letter was written right after Sandy Hook. And I guess that in the school, the kids were talking about that, and in language class, they'd had a little exercise about it, and then Joaquín went all the way to writing about the solution and not the sad part of it. So, but that we didn't know. So we lose Joaquín. Joaquín gets shot. We start working on Change the Ref, and one day Patricia calls me and she goes like, "I found a letter that Joaquín wrote." Really? And then when I saw the letter, we couldn't believe it. It was like, wow. So, and this is what I mean by Joaquín putting things together for us, so we can really have a legit voice behind the movement, and that's Joaquín. I was, of course, impacted with the letter, but guess what? I was impacted, but after what happened, okay, this is a great statement for me to show to everybody. And also the tweet criticizing what was going on. So yeah, Joaquín, a lot of, or 90% of what you see here is content that is coming from Joaquín. I don't know if you have a chance to check Joaquín's tweets. We have a wall with Joaquín's tweets outside, and you will see a clear principle there that is totally aligned with everything that we're talking here in this panel.
And how, I guess, as his father, I mean, did you discuss that in your home as Joaquín was growing up? Because
we did. Two things. We moved here, and I would say a lot of immigrants like us, we moved to this country for safety reasons. That is the number one reason for us to move here. So it's a total irony that we move here and then my son gets shot in the school. Preventable situation. No one broke any law that day. We're talking about a 19-year-old kid that was able to get into a store, purchase an AR-15, more than 2,000 ammunitions. Now you tell me if that's not a red flag, someone buying 2,000 ammunitions, a 19-year-old, what is it then? And that was not breaking any law. Then that person decided to get in a school and then killed 17 people. My son was one of them. So that's a terrible situation. Really far from the initial plan of having a better and safer future for Joaquín. And now we're in this situation. So now we have to fight against this because we don't have any other option here.
Amazing. And Shepard, when you take on a project and decide to turn that activism into art, what usually draws you to it? What is that moment for you as an artist that goes, okay, I have to create something from this. I have to create. I have to paint. I have to draw. I have to turn this into more than just a thought in my head.
Well, there's so many different things, but I guess if I could just boil it down, it's what is an injustice that has become, people have become desensitized to, and they need something to sort of reawaken them on it. And you know, there's a band, the Dead Kennedys. Their singer Jello Biafra was really shrewd about pointing out this sort of acceptance of brutality within American life, within capitalism, within many aspects of the American system, and so he would pierce the veil. And so what I often try to do is emulate that. Like, how do I take something that people seem to have become numb to and accept, and present a counter narrative that pierces the veil, that makes them say, wait a second, we shouldn't be accepting this as normal. So there's a piece of mine that's in the lobby that is a woman cradling an AR-15 as if it's a child, and she's wearing an American flag ring. And the text says, "This is my favorite son. I love all of my children, but I will sacrifice them to protect my favorite son." And when we look at American family values, this is clearly at odds with what most people would consider family values, to put the gun ahead of the children. And yet it's done in so many households. I felt that I needed to point that out, to point out how morally inconsistent it is. There have been many numbers of other ways that I've addressed gun violence, and I often think, okay, well, if this way didn't seem to work, I'll try this, I'll try this, I'll try this. And you know, in a lot of ways, I'm working one image at a time. Manny, with his show, was able to work with a full range of emotions as his palette within the performance, I think that's incredibly effective. I will try that from image to image, but a lot of times it's I'll maybe use some dark humor. I'll maybe use imagery that I think grabs people's attention, and I try to use often beauty even within a topic that's very ugly.
Yeah, let me tell a little story behind that. My favorite son image. So I saw it, and then Shepard mentioned that concept. Oh, I'm building this, putting this together. I say, oh, that's great. But it's really great when you finally see the image. It's because he will create something incredible. But the funny part is that he not only did the image, he did a limited edition of them, and then he made some donation of it to change the ref. And this is me asking, so where can we have that image? Needs to get out there. That is a total new approach. And then he said, Manny, that was a limited edition. I went, no, that has to be an unlimited edition. We need that everywhere. And then, okay, put it everywhere. So we decided to put it everywhere. That's why it's in the lobby. That's a bit. When you give me a green light to put it everywhere, you know that I'm going to put it everywhere. So now, and I think it's an amazing graphic that represents exactly the reality that we have to fight every single day in this country. So that's a great job. Thank you.
Thanks. I mean, of course, I also did a portrait of Joaquín because people care about kids. When I was, this is not funny at all. It's incredibly tragic, but we have to find some joy in what we're doing and some occasions to laugh. I was asked to do a poster for a food bank years ago, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I looked at our 3.5-year-old daughter, and I thought, she's very cute. If she looks like she's starving, that's going to get people's attention. So I had her do her best. Dickensian, holding a bowl. Please, may I have some more? It was, could I have some more sushi from Nobu? But when I did the portrait of Joaquín, Joaquín's an incredibly good-looking kid. Look at his parents. He is somebody that people are going to lean into and say, what's the story here? Using the symbol of the sunflower, the peace sign, and incorporating some other elements of there's the free bird, the dove flying in his the negative space in his chest. I think it's impossible when you imbue a portrait with an undeniable humanity for people to say, it's fine that this person was murdered. And so, yeah, I wanted to do that for you guys. Manny's done lots of great works with that image, and for me to get to do my iteration to, you know, amplify that, to say this kid matters. That's, you know, I think that impacts people.
I'm wondering, it's what I found very powerful watching the show, Manny, is just that kind of feeling in the audience that we're just all on this little journey. We're here for this speck of time. We're all these ants, and yet the idea that we can make a difference. That one ant can make a difference to another ant, can make a difference to another ant. And, you know, I'm wondering, in this journey that you've been on now, I guess for 8 years, right? When you encounter resistance, what is that resistance? And I'm curious of conversations that you might have had with families that have children that are so opposed to gun laws, that are so opposed to background checks. What? And I'm sure you've had those. And what? Tell us a little bit about that.
It happens the whole time, from threats like really they're gonna hurt me or my family, all the way to we don't agree with what you're fighting for, and all the way to you should go back to your country. This is my country, okay? Start with that. So I'm already in my country. And besides that, I think that we haven't tried what we are proposing. There's a lot of people that are afraid for this unreal myth that we're going to take your guns away. That is not even possible. Like, there's 400 million guns in our country, so it's not doable. But we haven't tried the opposite just because you think that might happen. What happened to Joaquín is not a myth, it's a reality. So I can show you reality. I can tell you, listen, what if we try something different and we put some regulations here? You can still have your guns. You just want people that have enough responsibility to carry the guns, because it's not fair with us. I mean, when you say, this is my gun, it's not your problem. No, it is my problem. My kid was shot. It is my problem. And not only when my kid gets shot, when any kid gets shot, it's also my problem. Because that's the principle of society. So I think that the debate is easy to handle if we just bring the truth to the table. I don't need to create a myth to convince people that this is wrong. I can also give you the stats. We have more guns than anyone else, and we keep saying, oh, we need more guns. Oh, you want more guns? How many guns do you need? No, that way we can protect from each other. So now we're afraid of each other. So if you guys were told, I was not. I was raised in Venezuela. I never had that gun culture in me. Not my son, not my daughter, not my wife. So in here, the gun manufacturers have found a very smart way to convince us that we should be afraid of each other. And now we need to carry a gun, and that's a good idea because now you can protect yourself. And this country, like in any other country, has arguments that will increase, and any simple discussion could end into a shooting because we carry guns. That won't happen in most other countries. So I think that just those people that are afraid or against what we do, there's a lot of not knowing anything better. So I need to tell the story I need to share the story so you know more, and then maybe we can find a common ground and we can agree. But I'll keep on fighting. Not anymore for my kid. My kid is already not here anymore. So now I'm doing this for your kids.
What was that evolution like for you from 2018, and how? I'm guessing all of us are curious that kind of creative process for you, like to go, okay, I'm going to do something about this, and just walk us through, like what were those steps, and then where did the inspiration come for this show? Where did that come from, and how did that start to build?
Right. The inspiration starts with I don't know many things. I don't have many skills. Okay, I'm very limited skills. So this is what I know how to do. So that gets out of the way a lot of things that I cannot wear a tie and go to DC and have a long conversation with perfect English. I can't do that. So period. And that brings us here. Now, in reference to how it ended up as a show, I'll give you the answer for that. After the shooting, I'm one of those guys that is invited to events, rallies, to speak about what happened. And, you know, there's a lot of us have 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here. They let you talk to people that totally agree with what you're doing. So there's no much difference after those rallies. So I decided, you know what, I need more time to talk. This is not enough. And I need more attention. People were not even listening. So the answer to that, theater. I can talk to 300 people for an hour and a half and get their total attention. Oh, I want this. Because now I can tell more things and make my point in a better way. Now, if I can add graphics to it, even better. Because graphics communicate, a lot. And music, and the family, and Mia, and Banksy. I have my own Banksy. You have your friend Banksy. I have my own Banksy at home. So I think it's great. It's about, you're going to leave this theater not sad. You're going to feel motivated to do something, to do more. And that's the big difference. I don't want you to light a candle one day a year or wear an orange t-shirt one day a year and then think that you're doing something to prevent this from happening. Because the reality is that you don't. You're not making a difference by lighting a candle and crying for my son. You're going to make a difference when you fight for your kids. And if I need to do this to motivate you and make you do that, I'll have to do it. We will continue doing it. And Shepard also. He will continue doing it. And Bryan also.
That's a very, very powerful response. What I'm also curious about, though, is the creative process for you. Because you were, prior to this, you were not an actor, you hadn't written a play, and yet in putting this together, you have actually, you have crafted a full experience. You have crafted theater, you have crafted art, you have crafted an experience, and whether or not you might, want to call yourself an actor, you were on stage, emoting. And what was that experience like for you to decide to take this on? Because I know for me, when I take on a project, it's like this, okay, I'm going to do this and then that, and then I'm like 2 years into it, okay, I'm going to add this, and I'm going to add, and then suddenly it's like, oh, whoa, okay, there it is. And I've never seen something like what you've done. It's incredibly bold, especially, I've never seen it. I'm just wondering what that creative process has been like for you.
Well, it's evolving, number one. I think this is great, but it might have, Shepard came to the other show a few months ago, and then he just saw it and he said, wow, it's different in a way. And I also have people from the theater industry involved. So I needed the storytelling to be adapt to what being on stage means. So I don't have all the credit of what you saw. I have a director, Michael Cody. He's not here tonight, but he's been a key person putting this together. And this is my life, Bryan. And I'm reading shit from the floor. So it's really, yeah.
And there's some spelling errors too, like
yeah.
imagine, which is spelled IMAGEN.
Because that's the way that I read it. I mean, that's it. And then, yeah, Miguel Rojas here. See that? I don't need that note anymore, by the way. But yeah, it's a challenge. But as Shepard said, and that's so important, you have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to enjoy what you're doing. You guys enjoy what you're doing. Because I saw your documentary, and you can tell that you're enjoying the whole process. And you enjoy every single day you make a mural. And I enjoy this. Some people say, oh, how you can enjoy that? Well, guess what? I do. I have fun. I'm dancing. I'm playing the fucking air guitar with 300 people. I love it. So that's the key. The creative process is just, I mean, there's not a process here. I'm not able to define a process that I follow. It happens because it's really legit. That's what it is.
And I would imagine that that everything that you're doing, and imagine that, I mean, it has to be incredible for you and your family, Patricia. You have a daughter, right?
We do.
Yeah. Andrea. I mean, it has to be incredibly, almost in a way of a cathartic, incredible way to grieve, but also to overcome, because you're doing something about that grief, and that's why all of these people are here.
Yeah.
So
and grief is very personal. I don't expect other parents that go through this to do this. You don't have to. You will find your own way. I think that anyone that has gone through what Patricia and me went through, we have the right to do whatever we want, because it's really painful, okay? So sometimes the story ends really bad. Sometimes couples fall apart. And we found that we are stronger together, Patricia and me, and we're that solid rock. And now with Mia, it's even more what I need to do. Because now I have a granddaughter, and I got to make sure that she's safe. So it makes sense. What you just saw here, it makes total sense. Don't be concerned about what you saw. It's really, there should be more of these out there. That exhibition should be a huge exhibition, not for 15 days, but for 6 months. Thank you. We have to make that happen, and we will. I don't allow frustration to be part of my daily activities. I don't take frustration as an option. And I think there's a shield that I have that I built, an invisible shield that protects me from frustration. Because otherwise, it's easy to quit. Like, you know what, I give up. Do whatever you want with your guns. I have nothing else to say. And you can't do that. You can't do that. So we decided to go all the way. And it's about small victories. Because yes, like Bryan was asking, so what if the laws don't change? Yeah, but what about those small victories during that process? I hold to those. I hold to a night with a packed room in Culver City with people that now know the story about Joaquín. For me, that's a small victory. When Patricia puts out the 30 Under 30 magazine and she was able to hack that event, that's a small victory. And the addition of small victories keeps us away from frustration. So that's the key here. I cannot. And every time there's a shooting, listen, it's every day. There's a shooting every day. I don't like bringing numbers. I think it's boring, but I'm going to give you one that is really incredible. Since Joaquín was shot, more than 380,000 people have been shot in our country. That's an internal war. We're killing each other. This is not even fighting with another country. This is an internal war that has different presidents in charge. We had a president that people have tried to kill twice. And when I saw that happening, I thought, okay, this is a moment when a guy like Donald Trump that could convince half of the country to really put restrictions on guns because some crazy people are trying to kill him. And by the way, that coming from Trump will have really made a difference. But it didn't. He did the opposite. And then now we have better access, and there's this romance between the administration and the gun manufacturers. Anyways, back to your question, no frustration is allowed. We need to keep on moving, bringing results, and hold to small victories. But I want to hear from Shepard. Yeah, what do you do?
Well, I think that the moment you lose hope, then you won't act. You'll just lie in bed depressed. So I think hope is essential, and I'm not an egotistical person, but I have self-belief, and my self-belief allows me to think my actions will matter. So, sometimes even something very negative, like seeing the right-wing bots come out in force in response to a post I've made, I'm like, yeah, I got them unhappy. They're coming after me. They feel threatened. This is a good thing. Now, of course, I wish that for all the people who I know agree with the sentiments of my work, that they were as loud, as they were as outspoken as the attackers and haters often are. But this is the nature of social media. So I've come to terms with that, and I think that anyone who has the courage to stand up for something they believe in they will have mud slung at them or worse. And yet that's, to me, a lot better than giving up. I can't give up. It's just not part of who I am. And, I know different people have different levels of confidence, different levels of motivation, but that makes me want to inspire. That makes me want to bring people out of their, out of their apathy, because I know the world will be better off if I can. So, I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I'm always hoping that other people will join in, because I know that I do what I do because of other people that have inspired me. So I know it can be a chain reaction, and this guy inspires me a lot. A lot of people do, and I know it can be infectious.
I thought about that a lot. It worries me that when I'm not here, who's going to do this? Someone could do it, could play my role, and as a role that is the father of any kid that has suffered this. But I think that the answer to that, and it's a process that we are working on right now, is having another play that is actually Joaquín on stage. And that performance will come out from kids around the country. That's the answer to that.
Thank you, everyone.